Well, we are delighted to have you all with us, regardless of your time zone. We're excited to welcome you into the Saratoga Springs community. So my name is Jess Ricker, and I serve as VP for Enrollment and Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at Skidmore College. And I'm excited to welcome you to our Creative Thought Work series, which aims to amplify Skidmore outcomes through these themed panels that reach a large audience of students, but explore what is so special about Skidmore. Our session today is titled Creative Thought Works, Do Both. And you're going to hear from some amazing alums tonight who have explored multifaceted aspects of their identity at Skidmore. Some of them have done arts and STEM or another major, but you will be really excited to hear about how Skidmore has supported them in those journeys. So the session will be recorded and made available to you afterwards. And the recorded portion will be just the first part. Then we'll do breakout rooms where you can actually ask your questions of the panelists. So we'll guide you through each session, part of the session as we go. So with that, let's welcome our panelists. So panelists, if you can come off mute and share your name, Skidmore graduation year, which may be coming up soon. It may not have already passed. And what you are up to professionally in your endeavors. So we will start first. We'll go alphabetical by first name. We'll start with Alex. So Alex, introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. So I graduated in 2022. So not that long ago, but I'm already missing Skidmore. While I was at Skidmore, my do both was I did the dual degree program between Skidmore College and Dartmouth College. So you do 3 years at Skidmore and you get your degree from Skidmore. I did physics and math. And you do 2 years at Dartmouth College and you get a engineering degree from Dartmouth. And then for my professional career, I'm still living the do both ethos. So I'm still at Dartmouth College. I'm a PhD student now. I'm studying quantum computing. And at the same time, I'm the chief technical officer at a startup. We're building medical microscopes that are AI powered.
So cool. So cool. I'm glad you're still doing both. So we've got the start of the alphabet here. We go A, we go F, Faith.
Hi, my name is Faith. I'm a senior at Skidmore, so last day of classes was today, so I have one more semester left, which is exciting. I am a dance and economics double major with a minor in honors form, which is a specific minor at Skidmore, which I can talk more about if you're interested in. It's basically our version of honors college. I also do have a lot of jobs on campus. I'm also the chair of traditions at Skidmore right now, so I do a lot of event planning. And I don't have a job yet. I'm currently applying to 2 different routes. I'm applying to some economics jobs, and I'll be looking out for some choreographic opportunities, all leading hopefully to me becoming a professor where I can do research in both to analyze the intersectionality between dance and economics and how they relate to each other. So that is my end goal. I just have to figure out how to get there first.
Faith, you're going to be fine. Take a breath. You're a senior, right? The seniors, the high school seniors who are here with us tonight, you take a breath too, right? Big, great things out there, but you're going to be great. Glenna, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Glenna Joyce-Welsko. I graduated in the class of 2016. My double major at Skidmore was biochemistry and exercise science. I also minored in dance. Great dance department, big fan of it. Currently, I am the head distiller at University of Kentucky's James B. Beam Institute for Kentucky Spirits. So what that title is, I run and manage a research and educational distillery that's on campus. We have a certificate program, and we also hire students to come work into the facility, and we train them up, and they work as interns with me. So, yeah.
So really still in the higher ed space, right? Still in education, still doing both. Yeah, I'm really excited for everyone to hear a little bit more about these stories, but thank you for those initial introductions. They've definitely left us wanting more. So, I mean, the theme here really at Skidmore is that we believe that creative thought matters. I mean, creativity informs everything we do here. It's a huge distinction. And we created the series, right, so that prospective students, those who hadn't experienced Skidmore, could really understand that difference. So, my question for each of you to start is, how does creative thought matters influence you, right? Your experience at Skidmore, to start, and then how has it prepared you or informed what you're doing right now? Very broad question, but tell us about creative thought matters. Who wants to go first?
I can.
Thank you, Faith.
So I am a tour guide on campus, and we always wrap up with why Skidmore. And one of the things I always say is that I was drawn to the slogan Creative Thought Matters. I felt like in high school, that's where I did my best learning, is when I got to kind of choose if I did a project or a presentation and like what that was about. And I do really feel like that represents my learning here at Skidmore. I had my final presentations for my proposal for my economics thesis last night, and my professor said, at the end of my proposal, creative thought really does matter, because my thesis is going to be about, is there a gender wage gap in dance professors? And is that different from other arts departments? And so I think you can really see that you can take any major, or even if you're not majoring or minoring in something here at Skidmore, you can still bring those interests into what you're studying. And like I know there's a couple dance majors right now who are going into education arts administration, and they're just dance majors, but they've been able to take all these different classes and combine it into their final dance project. So yeah, I feel like it's really representative of the education at Skidmore as well as the students here. There are so many students that have varied interests, and we really embrace that here.
Yeah, not at all cookie cutter. You are actually creating. It's almost a little choose your own adventure, right? Yeah, yeah. Alex and Glenna, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I can talk. So to me, creativity involves like taking a wide variety of ideas, perspectives, experiences, and combining those into something new to get real insights. So when I was at Skidmore, which was primarily defined by this dual enrollment program, that's 2 colleges, that's 2 first days of college, 2 graduations, 2 friend groups. Like it's overwhelming a little bit because, it's double everything, but it just allows you to combine so many different perspectives, different classes, different majors. But particularly at Skidmore too, what I think Skidmore really shines is this idea of having, like, while you're at Skidmore, there were no guardrails to me for whatever I wanted to explore. So I was interested in music. I am a pianist. And I wanted to use the practice rooms. I wanted to play in bands. I wanted to play in the jazz band, perform in the chorus, but I didn't have time to commit to a music major or minor. No problem. And at the same time, I wanted to take computer science courses, but I wasn't a minor, I wasn't a major. No problem. I got into the senior level classes just by asking the professor. And at the same time, Skidmore also has a set of requirements as well, because I came in thinking, oh, I just want to take all these science and math courses. I don't want to touch the humanities. But the thing that's actually kind of nice about not having it be a completely open curriculum and having a set of requirements is that you discover things that you would have never imagined that you would want to take. So in my senior year, I took a class called Materials of Medieval Art. And going into it, it was because it was a requirement, or it was fulfilling a requirement. And at first I was like, oh man, I'm this science guy. I don't want to learn about medieval art. But it ended up being one of the most interesting and eye-opening classes that I took. And not only that, but it was a place for people who had wildly different experiences at Skidmore to come and all share their knowledge in really, really cool ways. So one thing that I particularly remember was we were talking about different different cathedrals around Europe during the medieval era. We were looking at how they were built, and not only the materials, but also how the buttresses were actually like figured out to dispel the most force. And I spoke up in class and I was like, hey, I learned about this in my physics course. And I got up to the board and I drew the little force arrows. And I was like, because they did it this way with this material, that was better than this other way. And at the same time, another class, a chemistry student popped up when we were talking about old art that was breaking down, and the student was telling us about oxidation. And at Skidmore, classes are not only small, but they feel like a dialogue. It's not just the professor monologuing and people taking down notes. There's opportunities for all these different perspectives from Skidmore to speak up, and that's where real learning happens. And I guess for how creative thought matters sort of impacts me in my career now after graduating, particularly in research and in entrepreneurship. These are two fields that I'm interested in, where having these insights are the entire thing. Basically, what I mean is you have to know what problem to solve, what even question to ask in the first place before you spend your time working on something. And it's not just about getting tools that are used to solve the problems of today. It's about asking the right questions of tomorrow. That's how you build a business. That's how you publish novel research. And I don't think I would have been nearly as prepared for that if I didn't come from a background where I had all this melting pot of ideas and perspectives and experiences, and learning how to combine it all together.
I mean, not what to think, but how to think critically, how to bring a curiosity, an openness to new perspective. I could actually see you up there at the I don't know if it was a chalkboard or a whiteboard, like drawing the flying buttresses and explaining the physics of the distribution of load to those, art history, and other majors, as you described that, Alex. But yeah, there's certainly also, I think you touched a little bit upon, creativity invites in some risk, right? To take a class that is maybe outside of your comfort zone, but it's how we find new ideas and push past frontiers. And Glenna, I'm curious to hear, about your experience with this, to add to this dialogue we're having.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex and Faith, you've done a wonderful job really articulating creative thought matters, and I share similar experiences with you here. I'd say, to kind of reiterate what both of you have said, Skidmore is a wonderful campus full of students who are interested in all these awesome different subjects, but also have an artistic side. I even remember writing on my college app essay talking about how both of these are really important to me, that I have a scientific analytical brain, but I also have a creative one as well. And those don't have to be mutually exclusive. And at Skidmore, it's highly encouraged to have those disciplines cross and utilize both of those skill sets in every single class that you're in, whether it be a chemistry class or dance class. So creative thought matters, how it applies more to my day-to-day currently as a professional out in the world. I would say really it comes to problem solving. On a day-to-day basis, I get tasked with, here's this new problem. The pump on the distillation apparatus is no longer working. With your current tools and resources that you have at hand, figure out how to fix it today. So, and a lot of the times, you don't have the answer at first. You have to think creatively and work creatively as a team with your team, either your colleagues or your interns, and say, all right, let's try to troubleshoot this, and let's figure out a problem, a solution together. Occasionally, you'll have to outsource to other experts and say, hey, this is outside my realm, that is absolutely a route to take. But absolutely, in those instances, I'm reminded of creative thought matters, because there have been many times in my career where here's a problem, we got to fix it by the end of today. Okay, all right, I'm on it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Preparing you for not just the world we know now, but, the world as it changes around us, right? But Glenna, I really loved what you had to say about, I think there's sometimes this assumption that in making a choice to move in one direction, that you are either isolating, abandoning, letting go of some other facet or aspect of your identity, right? And I could see, as dancers like you and Faith, both in the way you answered questions about the importance of dance for you, and Alex mentioned music, and that there's a certain expression of who you are that you have from that artistic route, but also from the way creative thought matters embodies the way you approach life. There's like an expression, there's an authenticity, a sense of like belonging and being who you are, right? I think we all want to show up in the world in an authentic way. It provides more meaning, right? And so I'm going to kind of like move into the next question. So get ready, lean in for whoever wants to go first. But this idea of expression of who you are, could you talk, each of you, just a little bit more about how Skidmore prepared you, right? I mean, I don't know if there's anyone on the webinar who's saying, I would like to be the next head distiller, or Faith, right? Like, oh, I could totally see myself being an econ and dance, faculty member, or, talk a little bit about how your Creative Thought Matters Skidmore experience led to that outcome. Were there certain either tools in your toolkit that it gave you, or connections or experiences? Tell us about that. And Faith, for you, how you're leaning into and thinking about, right, what that looks like. So I know, long question, but there you go.
I guess I can talk, or I know I just talked, but I can I can answer this question.
We'll reverse the order this time.
Excellent. I will say that I wouldn't be in my position today if it weren't for Skidmore. And not only that, it had prepared me, intellectually challenged me, but the faculty themselves, a lot of the folks who teach and do research here at Skidmore are extremely smart. They're going to challenge you, but they're also extraordinarily compassionate. They truly care what your interests are and helping you guide where you want to go. And my spring senior semester, I was at a crossroads of, oh my gosh, I'm going into the world. I don't know what to apply for. I'm interested in food manufacturing, but I don't really have any guidance. And one of the faculty members at Skidmore in the chemistry department connected me like through several different ways of getting a job at the local distillery, Upstate Distilling Company. Someone had reached out to them saying, hey, we need some students who are interested. And they sent some names, including my own. So that started my career in distilling and being involved in the bourbon industry. And without those connections through faculty who sat down and listened, and oh, Glenna's really interested in food manufacturing, maybe she'd be a good fit for the job, I 100% wouldn't be where I am today. So faculty alone, they are extremely compassionate. They're going to challenge you in your coursework, and they're going to help you get where you want to be.
And there's both the science and the art, right? The faculty and what they do, and the compassion and all of those things. Yeah. Alex or Faith? I'm looking for who's leaning in.
Yeah, I can go ahead. So while I was at Skidmore, there was absolutely no shortage of intellectual stimulation. But I think not only was I taught to solve problems and come up with solutions, but also to communicate that to a broader audience. And I think that is what I have kept with myself in my career and has brought me further than anything else that I have learned. So for one example, when I was at Skidmore, the math and physics courses that I took, almost every single course was like I don't know if you call it flipped classroom, but it was there was a part lecture and then part just go in your teams and communicate and work together on these problems. It's like group solving problems together and present your solutions to the class. And I know for the physics major, there was a specific class called physics seminar where every week we would read a research paper, make a report about it, do a presentation on it. I did presentations in so many of my classes, and I really learned not the importance of just solving a problem, but communicating that to a broader audience and having that known. So for example, like 2 weeks ago, I was invited to give a lecture at Dartmouth for one of the engineering courses. And I just got up there and I was thinking about my physics seminar class and all the physics classes that I had gotten up and taught my team's solution to the rest of the class. And it felt like I was just doing that, but for a little bit bigger of an audience this time. And when I'm talking to venture capitalists or giving a presentation on my research at a conference, or talking to investors for the microscope project, it's all about performing. It's all about you not only solving this problem, but you're learning how to perform. And I just think that's such a cool connection, because I came into Skidmore as a performer performing piano, and I left as an intellectual performer as well. And I just think that's a thing that is going to stay with me for the rest of my life.
So cool. I love it. I love it. And so Skidmore, right? Not every alum is going to describe their experience in the way that these that Alex, Glenna, and Faith are describing. So Faith, tell us a little bit more about the journey forward and or support you're receiving from faculty, career services as you figure out your exciting journey for what's ahead.
Yeah, I came into Skidmore. One of the reasons I chose Skidmore was there's very little schools that offer such a high level program in both business and dance. So by that, you might be able to tell I was looking to double major in dance and business. But I came here, fell in love with my econ classes, and I actually haven't taken a business class at Skidmore. And so I didn't really know what econ meant in the real world. And so I chatted with my wonderful economics advisor, Professor Tawari, and she directed me, I mean, we chatted, and then she directed me to a website that just outlined all these different job types. And I still reference it today. Like I referenced it this year to apply to different businesses that are listed on the website. And I talked to her about her experience becoming a professor, and she really almost held my hand as I explored what you could do with an economics degree. And I would say at first I didn't really like the idea of combining economics and dance. I didn't see where that lined up. I felt like it was forcing things, and also I felt like people are kind of putting me in a box when they're like, oh, that'd be so cool if you could combine them. And I was like, I just want to keep my econ and my dance separate. And then I took this amazing class called Economics of Sports with the current head of the department, Peter von Allman. And I really like him as a professor. He's quite difficult, but also I've learned the most from those classes where you have a lot of homework and you have to be paying attention in class. And so that class was really exciting to me because it was one of my first electives from the economics major, and it just started. I mean, I am into sports, maybe not as much as other people, but I'm an avid Formula One fan. And there's I've done a couple papers on using economic theories to predict who's going to win a Formula One race or who will be the champion. And then I started thinking about stadium economics and how it sounded a lot like how people price theater tickets. But no one's ever actually looked into, from public research, I don't see anyone looking into how you price a ballet ticket over like a matinee performance or a late night performance, but they seem similar to these sports models, and I'm really interested in applying those two. And I think it's helpful for the dance departments and for people in the dance world, because there's definitely a lack of funding in the dance world currently. There used to be a lot of government funding back in the Cold War, and it's disappeared, and people are going online for dance instead of in person. So kind of seeing where there could be more money made, and also carving out my own little niche market, because sports economics is quite competitive. And so being able to get my foot in the door by saying like, this is what I want to do and no one else is doing it. So yeah, I've had conversations with both of my advisors. You get an advisor for each of your majors, and very encouraging on all sides. I'll leave it at that.
That's so cool, Faith. And I mean, Skidmore not backing down on the arts or our thoughts about creativity or its importance, right? In terms of intellectual performance, the way that Alex talked about. But Faith, what I really loved about what you described was, having moments where it seemed like there were maybe limitations in how you wanted to combine, dance and economics, or maybe a limitation in your thoughts about the possibilities. And the way that creative thought matters works, it helps you see that it is actually not limits, but limitless, right? And really put you in control of where you were headed with it. So that's so cool. So before we switch over to the breakout rooms, I'm going to look quick little, right? You have a chance to speak to these amazing students who are exploring colleges, seeing the limitless potential for where they could go with their lives. Take yourself back to your younger self, give a pearl of wisdom of what you would tell your high school self, so that these amazing students can have a little bit of advice from someone who understands how creative thought matters and what a Skidmore degree can do. So I know I'm putting you on the spot with this one, but go ahead, Glenna.
I would tell my younger self, you have all these interests, they're all wonderful. And invest in those interests, but also for long-term livelihood and sustainability, invest in taking care of yourself and figuring out what you need to do to take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, everything. So entertain and invest in those interests and what you want to do and explore that, but also take time to say, I got to take care of myself. So
Great advice, Glenna.
I was going to say I have two older siblings. They've been graduated from college for a while. And I was looking at colleges during COVID. I started early, thankfully, but my mom always said, when you go on a tour, it should be not on when the students are away. She always wanted me to be able to see how the students are interacting on campus. And I think that's really important if you are able. I know that's not possible for a lot of students. I think we have a lot of international students, but finding ways. We have a Discord where you can chat with students, going on info sessions and feeling a spark with a school, like it's a rom-com, I think is really important, because if there's something where you're like, well, this is like a better school technically, but like I like the vibe of the students, or like if something where it's just like, oh, there's that one club that sounded really cool. This is where you're going to be spending the next 4 years. Hopefully, I mean, you can always transfer, but I think you want to go in hoping you're staying for 4 years, or if you're doing a dual program, 2, 3. And you want to be happy while you're here. It's not just about education. You're also becoming an adult and learning how to take care of yourself and build different relationships than you do in high school. And I think it's important to make sure that you're going to enjoy where you stay and feel safe and feel welcomed. So finding a connection and a spark at a college like that, which for me was
creative vibes matter. I'm going to just riff on it there. Alex?
Yeah, Faith, I love this idea of the spark, because I absolutely felt that when I was touring at Skidmore. But not only that, I think I felt that like that kind of morphs into exactly what I wanted to talk about. So I was going to tell my younger self to not be afraid to explore, because I came in with like this very rigid idea of what I was going to do. The major I was interested in, I was like, oh, I'm definitely interested in this, I'm interested in that. But not only did this idea of a spark, for me, the spark for Skidmore was when I came to an open house and I interacted with the students and the professors. And not only did that get me interested in Skidmore, but I was particularly talking to physics students. And that was my spark to have me explore physics. And that ended up being a beautiful path through Skidmore. So not only should the spark or this idea of the spark influence where you choose to go, but also if you explore something new and you see that there's an opportunity there, there's a spark there, go after that. So I think some of the most interesting paths that I've taken in my life have started with this little spark that I don't know why I think it's going to be interesting, but I just jump on it and I go for it. Like this startup started as a school project. And it started as a school project where this external sponsor came in, and the sponsor himself, it was the person that I saw. He came in and talked about the idea, and that was my spark. And I was like, I'm going to work with this person, and that has gone from there. So this I actually say this saying a lot. It comes from artificial intelligence, but it's called explore and exploit. So it's a term from reinforcement learning, and it basically means how AI learn is they sort of feel around different things, and when there's sort of an opportunity that comes up, it's like exploit that, like go deep into that and see where that takes you. So that's sort of my advice: explore, find the spark, and go for it.
Okay, explore and exploit. Alex, I don't know if you realized it, but that was a do both, right? Everything you all were just describing is a do both. So thank you so much for that advice.